So far in the server-side attacks, we've seen how we can use a default password or use a misconfigured service to gain access to the target computer. Today we're going to have an example on a very simple thing, which is a backdoor. So some programs or services were shipped or come in with backdoors embedded in them. So we're going to exploit that today. And I chose this very simple exploit because I want to introduce you to a framework called metasploit. We're going to be using that framework a lot, so I wanted something simple to start with, and then we're going to go deeper into that framework. Now first, let me show you how we find that exploit. So again, using the same method that we've always been using, I have my nmap scan, and as I said, we're going to go on each port and Google them looking for exploits. So I'm going to Google the service name here, and I'm going to go to my browser, go to Google, and I'm going to type in exploit. So the service name and followed by exploit. And as you can see, the first result comes in from a website called Rapid7. Now, Rapid7 is a company that makes metasploit framework. So that's why I chose this particular exploit to show you today. So let me go back and let's talk about metasploit for a second. So we're going to exploit this service or this problem using metasploit. And as you can see here, Rapid7 is telling us that this version of FTP has a backdoor command execution. So it allows us, we can basically execute commands on the target computer if it has this program installed. And from nmap, we know that this program is installed, which means that we can execute commands on the target machine. So I'm coming back here and I'm gonna go to the next slide, which talks about metasploit. Now metasploit, as I said, is made by Rapid7. It is a huge framework that contains a large number of exploits. So it allows you to exploit vulnerabilities or create your own exploits. If you are an expert and you know how to discover and make exploits, then metasploit will help you do that. Now for today, we're doing a very simple use of an existing vulnerability. So the commands on metasploit are very easy. They might seem a bit complicated now, but once you get used to it, it is very easy to use. And a lot of them are generic commands. So here I'm showing you the basic generic commands, and then there are other commands that you get used to them in time. So the first command is msf console, and this basically just launches metasploit program. You can always type in help at any stage and you'll get help of the commands and their description on how you can use them. You can use the show command to show something. So you can show the available exploits, you can show the available auxiliaries, the available payloads, and we'll talk about what each of these mean in the future. You can use the use command to use something that you've shown. So for example, you showed exploits and you picked a certain exploit that you want to use. Then you use the use command and then you type in the exploit name to run it. Then you can use the set option or the set command to set specific options for the exploit. For example, if you wanted to set the IP address of your target, so you set the IP and then you put the value of the IP that you want to set it to. And then at the end, once you finish configuring your exploit, you can type in exploit to execute that exploit. Now, I know this might look a bit vague, but once I use it, it's going to become very clear to you. And we're going to be using these programs a lot, these commands a lot, so they're going to become very easy and simple to use. So we're coming back here. So we went on nmap, we Googled the name of the service, and the first thing that came up is that this service has a backdoor command execution. Because this is on Rapid7, the vulnerability is exploitable using metasploit. And the module name that we're going to be using is this. So it made our life much easier with this. So I'm going to copy the name. This is the name that I want to use to exploit this vulnerability. So I'm going to go to my console and I'm going to launch metasploit using the command msf console. And we're going to do a use and then put the name of the exploit that we just copied from Google or from Rapid7. So we're going to use that certain exploit. And as you can see now, the name here changed to exploit and then the name of exploit that we're using. Then we're going to use the show command to show the options that we need to set. So as I said, show is a generic command that you can use it in a number of cases. So in this case, we're doing a show options to see all the options that we can change for this particular exploit. And as you can see now, the second option is the port that the service is running on, and it's already set to port 21. And this is correct. If we go back to Nmap, you'll see that our target FTP client or server is running on port 21. So this is good. We don't need to change any of that. What we need to change is the rhost. So the rhost is the target IP address, as you can see here. And to change the value of this, as I explained before, we're going to use the set option or the set command. So our command is going to be set, and we're going to set the rhost, and that's the IP address of my target metasploitable machine. So we use set, and after set you put the option name. So for example, if you wanted to change the port, you set rport. We are changing the host, so we set rhost to 10.20.14.204, and I'm going to hit enter. And as you can see now, this is the rhost is set to this. Now what I want to do is show the options again, just to make sure that everything is configured correctly. And as you can see now, the rhost has been changed to 10.20.14.204. So everything is ready now, and to execute the exploit, we just type in exploit. So it seems like the exploit ran, but nothing has happened. We didn't gain anything. So what I'm going to do is just run it again, and this happens sometimes. And as you can see now, the exploit was run successfully. And now I have access to the target computer. If I do an ID, you'll see that my ID is root. Now basically I'm running Linux commands here. So if you do a uname a, you'll see that this is my metasploitable machine. And if I do ls, then it'll list the files for me. If I do pwd, it'll show me where I am. And I can use Linux commands to do anything I want on the target machine. Now this was a very simple use of Metasploit. In the future, we're going to be using it for more advanced stuff.